Good morning and welcome to the Prescott Valley Chamber of Commerce Quarterly Breakfast. Glad to see you all here bright and early, but I think it's fantastic you're here to learn about the candidates that are running for office in the upcoming election because it's so important on every level, whether it's local, state, federal. It just is wonderful that you're here today. And again, I want to thank you. I am Allison Flannery, and I am the chair of the Quarterly Breakfast. I work closely with Marnie Ewell to plan these breakfasts. And I want to take a moment to say a couple of things about Marnie, my opportunity. First of all, it is just a joy working with her on these breakfasts. We have been doing it for quite a long time, and we enjoy every minute of it. We actually make it fun. But just a few days ago, Marnie won a very, very big award, and it's called the Athena Award. And I just want to make the world know that she won this award. It's a nationwide thing. Thank you. Want to thank our host, the Warehouse Event Center, and the breakfast host, the Back Burner Family Restaurant. Great breakfast, wasn't it? And I know some of you have been here before, but isn't this a wonderful venue? I would like to remind everybody, if you have cell phones on, if you could turn them off, that would be great. We would like to thank our program sponsor, who is the Prescott Valley Chamber of Commerce. Every year they do this, every election cycle, they do this, and it's very important. They do it as a community service, and I think they, too, deserve a round of applause. And I'm going to ask Marnie Ewell to come up and speak, but first, I'd like to invite Mary Mallory, County Supervisor, District 5, up.
I want to thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. You know, I have had the honor to work with Marnie for many, many years. And she has been a fantastic leader in this community, and she has mentored me in many, many years of my leaderships, not only when I was in office, but also prior to that. And she's brought so much to this community, and I am celebrating her retirement and her friendship and her leadership. So please, Marnie, could you come up to the stage for a moment? This is Yavapai County Certificate of Appreciation is hereby granted to Marnie Ewell in grateful recognition of your honorable, valuable contribution and extraordinary service to the community given this 24th day of September 2024.
You go, Marnie.
Thank you. Thank you. I also have a flag for you. It has been certified and flown over the courthouse. And you know what? We love you, and we are so happy for you. God bless you, and thank you again.
Because I left mine down there. Well, first of all, this may be my last quarterly breakfast, but I'm not retiring until next year, so I have a little bit more time, four and a half more months, but I'm not counting because I love what I do, and it's all because many of you I work with every single day. My staff, my former staff, friends. Allison's been with me since the beginning, and we haven't aged a bit. So with that, it is our pleasure to sponsor this breakfast. On behalf of the Prescott Valley Chamber of Commerce, I have board members. Past Chairman Rodney Jenkins is with us, and I'm looking to see if anybody else snuck in that I didn't see from the board. I want to thank our chamber ambassadors here that always support our events and activities, and of course, the amazing chamber team. That's April, Gloria, Rochelle, and Kayleen. So let's give them a round of applause. This is our opportunity to connect our business community with the candidates running for election. As you know, we had a primary open mic event back in June, and then here we are with the general election. Added to this, we're having ballot proposition review, so there's some key business ballot propositions that we have Marcus Delartino joining us from, coming all the way up from Phoenix to speak with us today, and we really appreciate him. And Tyler Goodman from Yavapai County is going to speak on behalf and share Prop 479, which, you know, I'm just going to say from here that it's a good one to support, and we all should vote yes on that. Okay. So with that, I am going to turn it back over to Allison so we could hear from our candidates, and then also from Tyler Goodman from the county, and then from Marcus, Delartino. He chokes me up. Thank you, and thank you all.
Okay, so yes, again give you kind of a lay of the land and how this is going to go. We're going to have the candidates speaking in alphabetical order within each category. We'll start with the federal and state and then local, and then afterwards we will have speakers on Prop 479 and the ballot propositions. So it's going to be a very, very interesting opportunity for you to really know what you're doing when you go in either into that voting booth or do your early voting, whatever works for you. So again, I just want to point out that this 4 minute for the candidates is a hard 4 minutes, meaning I'm going to get up, I'm going to walk over to you, I'm going to embarrass you. So if you see me getting up, I suggest you kind of. And April, where are you, April? There you are. Okay, April is the timer. We've decided I'm the enforcer. So she's very nice. The verdict is out on the other side. So just try to do that. But yeah, worst comes worst, I come up and I tug your little elbow. So meanwhile, 4 minutes to be fair to each of the candidates. So we're going to start out now. And again, appreciate you all being here. We're going to start out with the U.S. House of Representatives, Jonathan Nez.
All right, good morning, everyone. And thank you, Allison, thank you, Marnie, and thank you to the Prescott Valley Chamber of Commerce for having this event, to the staff, and to the candidates and everyone in attendance. Jonathan Nez. So that is my introduction in Navajo. I was the former president of the Navajo Nation. I speak the Navajo language to honor our warriors. As you may know, the Navajo Code Talkers helped win battles and helped win World War II. And I honor them today, and I honor our veterans here as well. If we can give them a big round of applause, our warriors. Thank you. Well, as was mentioned, I am running for the U.S. House of Representatives for Congressional District 2. I have over 18 years of government and political experience, being the vice president of the local community, kind of equivalent to a vice mayor, and making my way up, being a lawmaker of the Navajo Nation Council, as well as 2 terms as the Navajo County Board of Supervisor, and had to resign there to be the Navajo Nation vice president, and just recently the president of the largest Indian tribe in the country, the Navajo Nation. And over the 18 years of public service, you know, we built a network. And when I say we, I also include my wife. She says yat eh, which means hello. She's not able to be here. She took the boys to school this morning and wasn't able to be here. But between her and I, you know, we were able to bring in much needed resources into our communities. You know, I always say that there's a bonus here. You not only get me, you also get my wife too as well. So two for the price of one, right? And infrastructure has been our priority. I grew up without running water or electricity, and so the need to expand water and electricity and getting clean drinking water into our communities is important. As I travel this large district, and this is a very large district, it's 60% of the state of Arizona, larger than the state of Pennsylvania at 58,000 square miles. Out of the 22 tribes in this district, in the state, 14 of them are in this district, including the Navajo Nation. And our focus in office was to, advocate for our families, housing, water security, as I said, focus on the cost of living, making sure that our communities are able to, look into the future, save for the future, not just for themselves, but our children, our grandchildren, and as we say, 7 generations into the future. And I know that I'm a Democrat. My parents are Republican. I grew up in a very conservative home, very conservative. I grew up going to church in a Baptist church, and those of you that understand, recognize how conservative the Baptist folks are. But that is my upbringing throughout this time, because it helps me in governing. And I thought I was out of politics, transitioning out. I thought I was going to live a happy, everlasting life, right? But I was asked to consider running for this district. And really, I'll leave you with this: the foundation of who I am is very bootstrapped, very centered on each and every one of you. And I appreciate the opportunity to come before you all. I appreciate your vote. JonathanNez.com if you need additional information. Thank you.
That was U.S. House of Representatives candidate Jonathan Nez. Now we're going to hear from the Arizona Corporation Commission candidates, starting with Yalina Aguilar, if she could come on up. And again, candidates raise or lower this as needed. Hi.
Good morning. Thank you very much, and congratulations, Marnie. Receiving an Athena is a big deal. I'm really glad to be here. You guys have perfect weather. I'm very jealous. I currently live in Phoenix. However, my story doesn't begin there. I actually was born in Mexico, but have lived in Arizona and most of my life. I did live in rural Illinois for I think 5 years. A town way, way smaller than this. I think there was 100 homes and 1 Mennonite church and a post office. So I know what rural is about. I'm so glad that I have lived most of my life in Arizona. I'm the mother of a junior in college and a junior in high school, and that is my most important job. When I became a U.S. citizen, the first thing I did, besides register to vote, was run for office. I got elected and voted for the first time ever on my school board race. From there, I was reelected, and then I currently serve you all in this Central Arizona Water Conservation District Board. Water is very important and critical for the future of Arizona, as is electricity. I never woke up and said, I want to run for the Water Conservation Board or for the Arizona Corporation Commission. How many of you guys know what the Arizona Corporation Commission is? Raise your hand. Amazing. I'm glad because of the setting we're in. But the reality is that when I was asked to run for this position, I had to think about how I would create change and impact the people of Arizona in this position, because I am driven by cause. And as soon as I started learning, and I myself have been impacted by the raising utility costs, I wanted to make sure that we don't just have a champion for water, which is what I am. I've been traveling the state, not just the tribal communities, as President Nez stated. I've traveled to Navajo and Hopi, where some families don't have running water or electricity. I've traveled to the colonias, which are a federal designated area in the U.S. border, where families don't have water infrastructure for clean drinking water. So I've traveled the state, working with rural communities, even not too far away from here, working on issues like lead contamination, so arsenic, lead, PFAS. And I have not only seen the state through the work that I've done in access to clean drinking water, but also advocating for the environment, such as clean air. And I am here today because I really want to continue being your voice on the Arizona Corporation Commission, ensuring that we have rates that our families can afford, because this body was created to ensure that we are getting the best deal possible from the utilities. So we are there to represent the consumers and to ensure that we are working well with the utilities to get the lowest rate possible. And that's not what's been happening. So I want to ensure that I am that voice for the consumers at the Arizona Corporation Commission, and that I continue to represent every single one of you, even if you don't vote for me, because this is my 4th election. I will still do my best to ensure that everyone has low utility rates and that we have safe, reliable utilities, especially water and electricity, because we cannot exist in the state without it. Thank you very much.
That was Yelena Aguilar. And our next candidate for Arizona Corporation Commission is Renee Lopez.
All right, hello. Yes, thank you for the opportunity to come speak to you today. It was a pleasure. Love the drive coming up. So yeah, Renee Lopez. I'll give you a little bit of background on me, where I'm from, what I did, and I'll show you a little bit about who I am, and then why I'm running. So I'm a 3rd-generation Arizona native, 3rd-generation Navy veteran. My son just got his commission this year, so he's now 4th-generation Navy veteran. Just came from San Diego, moving him over there, and he started his training. So my parents are from Douglas, Arizona, a very rural town, border town. A lot of people are familiar with this, down south of Bisbee. And my father, after serving in the Navy in Vietnam, wound up moving into the Valley, and that's where my sisters and I were born. So I grew up in Mesa. I went to Dobson High School, and my parents never planned for my education, so I wound up putting myself through Mesa Community College, and I discovered my first love language, which was energy. So I wound up, long story, I'll give you my bios in my long form. A few of you have got it. It's the long form. I hope you brought your glasses. But yeah, I discovered that I loved energy, and so I changed my major to nuclear engineering. So I obtained my nuclear engineering degree at the University of Arizona with a minor in direct energy conversion. And the Navy wound up helping me finish out my college, and so I wound up serving 4.5 years, 4 years, 8 months in the Navy, starting off in the nuke program, but wound up transitioning to cryptology. So I did super secret projects aboard submarines, doing signals intelligence for the Naval Security Group activities out of Fort Meade, Maryland. So did that for 2.5 years, and then left the Navy. My wife and my daughter at the time, my wife was done. She was like, after serving 2.5 years at sea, she was like, she wanted to come back home, and we landed in Gilbert at the time, up in down in the valley, and thought we would finish out our life there. But God had different plans for us, so I wound up actually getting a really good job offer, which is kind of funny, nuclear engineer, Navy officer, but I got a job offer for a oil and gas company out of San Diego called Solar Turbines. They're not solar power turbines, they're natural gas turbines. But I wound up working there for about 5 years, and my son was born there. And so yeah, he's come full circle. He's back in San Diego now with the Navy. And about 2006, there was some stuff going on in California. Anybody transplants from California here purposefully? Yeah, a few. Yeah. So I turned to my wife in 2006. You can come talk to me, ask me later. But I turned to my wife and said, yeah, this place has gone crazy. It's time to go back to home to Arizona and finish raising our family. So we came back in 2007, and I got involved in politics immediately. So given my background, Arizona Corporation Commission always been on my radar, but I wanted to build up my own name recognition and my service to the community. So I actually ran for Challenger City Council, and I served on the Challenger City Council for 8 years. While there, I also represented them on AMWA, which is the Arizona Municipal Water Users Association. It's a statewide water consortium, helps drive water legislation and policy. Also created a nonprofit helping young women rescued from sex trafficking from all around the state of Arizona called CC's Hope Center. We've been actively providing services for 7 years, stabilized more than 40 young women into a career and into housing. So that is what I bring to the table, the experience, serving the community. I've run the 4th largest water district in the state. I've helped run billion-dollar budgets. So I know how to fight for the ratepayers out there and make sure that we are giving you the best rate possible. So I am running on a slate with Leah Marquez Peterson, Rachel Walden, and myself. We are an all above the approach slate. We believe in it all: nuclear, hydroelectric, oil and gas, coal, and solar and wind. They should be allowed and they should be brought in, not subsidized. We don't need to socialize that expense. If a utility wants to bring in that kind of generation, it is on their dime to help us, because we don't know where technology is going to come from and advancements. We don't know where the price of coal is going to come. We need it on the grid to help keep your rates low. Thank you. Renee Lopez for Arizona Corporation Commission.
Again, that was Renee Lopez. And the next speaker candidate for Arizona Corporation Commission is Leah Marquez Peterson.
Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to see you. And Marnie, good to see you again. Again, my name is Leah Marquez Peterson. I currently serve on the Arizona Corporation Commission. I'm the past chairwoman and running now to serve you once again in our second and final term. We get 2 terms on the commission. I'll tell you a little bit about myself and what we've been doing on the commission and the work that I'm very proud of. I am a former small business owner. I live in Tucson. I owned a chain of gas stations and convenience stores and also a business brokerage firm in the Tucson area. I served for about 10 years as the president of the Tucson Hispanic Chamber. That's how I know Marnie from my time in Chamber World. Really enjoyed that experience, so very familiar with coming to Chamber breakfast and working with businesses with all different industries. What led me to the commission is kind of interesting. I had run for Congress in Southern Arizona, won my primary but lost the general election to Ann Kirkpatrick, who you may know. And when that happened, I decided to leave the chamber and really look for a different way to serve. Wasn't sure what I was going to do, and had a call from Governor Ducey's office. I had worked with him for many years in different capacities at the chamber, and he said, I'd like to have you replace someone who's leaving the commission, and that's Andy Tobin, who many of you may know from here. And so I stepped in to be appointed to replace Andy, not knowing a lot about the commission. I knew probably about as much as you guys do in terms of the fact that it regulates private investor-owned utilities in electric and water and gas and wastewater, and knew that it really had impact on the businesses that I served and families throughout the state. After being appointed, though, I had to run in 2020 during the pandemic to keep the seat. Very interesting experience meeting folks from throughout the state, really talking about the importance of having just and reasonable rates and really having the understanding of, again, that impact that we had on families and businesses in every corner in every county. Now I'm running for re-election to the commission, and I'll tell you, I'm proud of the work that we've done. We are a 5-member board. We are constitutionally created. We're, again, elected statewide. Some of the things that we've been able to accomplish in this very high cost of living time, we hear from folks. We know it's tough. Inflation and just the cost of gasoline and all different types of products has really impacted so many folks. But we are very proud that we are the 2nd lowest in energy costs in the nation in Arizona. That's something that not another 48 states can't say that, and that has made a huge impact on the economic development happening in the state. I'm sure you're hearing about, especially in Maricopa County, all the companies, manufacturers, semiconductor industries, and others that are flowing into the state and want to find clean energy sources and have energy resources in order to grow, water resources, and so on. A lot of that's led because of our very low energy cost. We're also considered one of the top 10 in energy reliability in the nation. So I know Renee asked you about how many folks were from California. Whether you're from there or not, you've seen the headlines, right? We have seen rolling blackouts in California. A lot of that, why, has been because of their overdependence on renewable energy. I fully support the all of the above approach that Renee also mentioned. We have a nuclear power plant now that produces about 30% of the energy for our state. We need to see more nuclear eventually in our state as it becomes more affordable. Natural gas, we need to support the coal plants as they exist now. Solar, wind. There's a lot of work to be done, but very proud of the work we continue to do and would appreciate your support. Again, I'm running on the slate with Rachel Walden and also Renee Lopez. We need your support to continue the work of keeping our costs low and our energy reliable. Again, I'm Leah Marquez Peterson. You can learn more about me at voteforleah.com. Thank you again.
Again, that was Leah Marquez Peterson. And the final candidate for Arizona Corporation Commission is Joshua Polachek.
I'll put on a timer to make sure I don't need to get the hook. Good to see you again, Marnie. Some of you might have seen me. There was a mix-up in June, and I had an opportunity to speak to people at the tables, but this is my first chance to speak to the entire chamber. It's a real honor. I grew up all over the rural West. My parents were in federal service with the Indian Health Service, and so I spent my elementary school years going to reservation schools. It was a formative part of growing up, and for me, always coming back to these areas takes me back to my childhood. And so I really love being out in this part of the state. I went to White River Elementary for a couple of years. And this is especially, I don't know if y'all seen the headlines, we're about to have 111 degree of weather in Maricopa and 106 degree weather in Tucson this week. So it's gonna get spicy. And to make that preparation, Arizona needs some vision on the Corporation Commission. We need leaders who are ready not to just do things that we've been doing for the last 80 years, but leaders who are ready to look to the 21st century and figure out how are we going to address the challenges, not as they have been, but the challenges that are going to come. You've just heard this idea that we need an all of the above approach. What they're really saying with that is even if there's better technology that's cheaper and more reliable, we're going to use our regulatory power to pick winners and losers in the marketplace. And that means you, as business owners, you're going to see your rates continue to go up. Yes, Arizona does have very affordable rates, but we're seeing our rates going up more than pretty much any other state in the country. And it's because of a lack of leadership on the Corporation Commission. They have decided that the old way of doing things, which makes us dependent on fossil fuel supply chains that run not just to Pennsylvania and Texas, but we are part of a global commodities market. And can you imagine subjecting your business 10, 20 years from now to the chaos of the global supply chain? We've already seen a disruption in 2020. Imagine not just a war in Eastern Europe, but a war in the Persian Gulf. What that would happen and what that would do to our prices. Arizona has an opportunity for energy independence. We can see what they've done in Wyoming. We can see what they've done in Nevada. These are not California, these are not some wild, crazy socialist states. We can achieve energy independence for our state and actually drive rates down. Who here would love to see, instead of budgeting for a 10% increase on their utilities every year, instead a 10% decrease on their utilities? And that is possible if we have actual leadership on the Corporation Commission. So a little bit about myself. I did grow up over the rural West. After college, I moved to Tucson. I consider myself a Tucson native. After college, I was commissioned into the United States Foreign Service and served you protecting American interests through diplomacy in places like Iraq and Lebanon and Islamabad. The places where diplomacy is, where it's talking, not shooting, though I did get shot at a few times. But I came back to do elder care for my father in 2019. And I've decided that this is an opportunity with the Corporation Commission to serve the people, not just now, but to leave a legacy for the future. So I've got some literature, and you can go, obviously, to Joshua for Arizona. And please, we didn't get a chance to talk about our third running mate, Jonathan Hill. He's a scientist, not a politician, so please check out the slate. You've got a wide variety of folks who are looking to the future and not to the past. Thank you very much.
And that was our final candidate, Joshua Polachek, for the Arizona Corporation Commission. And now we're going to go on to the Arizona State Senate District 1. And the first speaker will be Mark Fincham. Okay. Then our other speaker, the next speaker will be Mike Fogel.
Well, good morning. I am Mike Fogel, and I am running for the state senate. I have lived and worked in Yavapai County for 31 years as a teacher, coach, principal. Currently serve on the Chino Valley School Board. My most core value is service to my community. One might say I'm a fixture to this community. I'm not sure I can say that, or any of us could say that about my opponent. This election must be about minding Yavapai County's business, all of it. One of my main goals for running is to strengthen democratic institutions like public schools. I know how to get that done. As principal of Baghdad Elementary, we moved our school grade from D- to B in 2 short years. As vice principal of Chino Valley High School, we moved our designation from performing to highly performing. Leadership counts when building a successful team. I listened first, and we worked together toward common goals that achieved results. Unfortunately, our state legislative leaders have produced the worst public school rating in the U.S., according to the study conducted by Consumer Affairs. Yavapai County schools are among the poorest of the poor. By the way, this is the conclusion former Humboldt Superintendent Dan Streeter came to, and he is well known for publicizing this sad statistic. We deserve better. We are not a poor state. We have lived under poor governance. For 40 years, the legislators from this district have been at the forefront of the neglect and disinvestment that has resulted in this abysmal rating. I am the change that will reverse this reality the minute I set foot on the Senate floor. I will honor the feelings of most Arizonans who agree that we must invest in our teachers and support staff. My experience in Baghdad is a case in point. During my tenure, our elementary classroom sizes were limited to 20 pupils per class, and our teacher salaries were more competitive than much of the rest of the county. Why was that? Because the mine subsidized the school system budget with an input that was 33% of our funding. Now, Humboldt, Prescott, Chino Valley do not have a mine. But they all have a legislature that could prioritize support with increased spending to create more competitive salaries and reduced classroom sizes. This is a proven method to improve student achievement. Now is the time to reinvest in our community public schools where 85 to 90% of Arizona's families choose to send their children. It's past time to strengthen public education, which is a key pillar of our republic, to invigorate our local economies and build stronger communities. I ask for your vote. Mike Fogel and my colleagues, Jay Ruby and Marcia Smith, and we will mind Yavapai County's business and get results. Thank you.
And that was Mike Fogel, candidate for Arizona State Senate District 1. Now our next 2 speakers will be candidates for Arizona State Representative District 1. And the first candidate is Jay Ruby.
Thank you to Prescott Valley Chamber of Commerce for hosting important events like this. My name is Jay Ruby. I am running to be your next state representative. I have lived in Prescott since the late 90s producing cultural events. I'm a son of the American Revolution with deep roots in Pennsylvania. I came to Arizona as a Rust Belt refugee with Appalachian values. Participate, help others, and question authority. My favorite founding father, Benjamin Franklin, stated, "It is the first responsibility of every citizen to question authority." Now, in Benjamin Franklin's time, that meant developing a government of the people and for the people, and questioning the power of the king, where one man's voice determined the direction of the nation. And if you disagreed with the king, you might lose your power, your property, or be persecuted. As Americans, we wisely questioned the authority of the British monarchy and rebelled against it. I am running to be your state representative because the Arizona legislature needs to be questioned. Schools, teachers, and students are not getting the support they deserve. Cities and towns are handcuffed by Phoenix and can't determine their own local policies. Our rural hospitals can't always provide timely, life-saving care. And when $1 million of taxpayer money is spent on Legos, we aren't getting our money's worth from the state legislature. And when $15 million is allocated to a private rodeo group, when cities in our district need fire stations to keep their property insurance rates affordable, we aren't getting our money's worth from the state legislature. The state legislature needs to back down and stop forcing a one-size-fits-all approach. Cities and towns should be able to determine their own short-term rental policies and should be able to get better support from the general fund. Counties like Yavapai need a more equitable allocation from the highway user resource funds. We would benefit from increased support for agencies like Arizona Department of Water Resources to help build comprehensive rural management areas for our water so we can measure and manage it as we wisely grow. But after 60 years of one-party rule in the legislature, the needs of rural Arizona are often neglected. If the first responsibility of a legislator is to create a budget, then why does the legislature always wait until the end of the session to pass the budget? Passing bills on blow-up dolls and fake meat doesn't seem to help us. Passing bills that restrict early voting and ban voting centers, like my opponents did in House Bill 2876, that infringes on our voting rights. My opponents don't seem to be taking care of Yavapai County's business. It's time to stop the dysfunction in Phoenix, and that means doing something different. It's time to elect people who will question authority, question the status quo, and who will show up for debates. Candidates like me, like Marcia Smith, and like Mike Fogel. Our opponents refused to confirm dates for a debate and backed out. This is a loss for voters in Yavapai County. Debates are a deep American tradition, and anyone who backs out doesn't deserve your vote. We need legislators that can show up and have honest, meaningful, two-way conversations with the general public and with each other. As your state representative, I will listen to you, protect our rights, and use our resources wisely. I will ask the questions that help we, the people of Arizona, thrive. Thank you.
Okay, and let's see. That was Jay Ruby. And our next speaker for Arizona State Representative, District 1, is Marcia Smith.
So thank you to the Prescott Valley Chamber of Commerce for hosting us today. So my name is Marcia Smith. I'm a candidate for the Arizona House because I believe in working in and for government to improve the lives of all Arizonans. I grew up in Minneapolis, and I'm the youngest of 11 children. After graduating from the University of Minnesota, I joined the Navy, and you have your second nuclear Navy candidate. That is the department in which I served, I was a supply car officer, so I wasn't on the ships, but I was in the headquarters office. I met my husband in the Navy, and when our daughter was 2 years old, I went to law school. My law practice has focused on representing healthcare providers. And my last full-time job was as general counsel for a statewide healthcare system that also had a lot of rural healthcare facilities in Iowa. And I am proud to have received the endorsement of the Arizona Nurses PAC. As a member of the Arizona House, my priorities would be advancing legislation to ensure everyone has access to affordable health care, to ensure mental health care is part of our community health system, and to support programs to build affordable workforce housing in our district. We need to work together to solve the health care and housing shortages in our district. In Yavapai County, more than 1/3 of residents are housing burdened, meaning they pay more than 30% of their income for housing. So that's a problem that is new for Arizona, but is one that we need the legislator to help us solve. I regret that our opponents are not here to speak to you today, as voters need to hear from all candidates to understand how your elected representatives will work to improve their lives. So I'm a product of my Catholic school upbringing, where I learned from the sisters how to be a good person and how to care for others in my community. So my approach to improving your lives in the Arizona House, it would be simple. Do the right thing. In healthcare, that means putting the patient first. As an elected representative, that means putting your constituents first. It also means understanding the impact of your votes on all residents in our district. My opponents voted to keep the 1864 abortion ban, even though they profess supporting medical freedom. The 1864 abortion ban would have impacted the medical freedom of women in Arizona to make their own decisions about reproductive health care. Because public policy is complicated, the hard work in serving as a legislator and determining what is the best thing for my constituents is understanding which policies work, which ones will most help my constituents. So as an attorney, I think I am well qualified to do that work. I'm asking for your vote on November 5th to elect me, Marcia Smith, as your representative to the Arizona House. Thank you.
And that was Marcia Smith, candidate for Arizona State Representative, District 1. And now our next candidate is running for Judge of the Superior Court, Danilyn Savage.
I'm tall. My name is Danilyn Savage. I am currently serving Yavapai County as a Division 5 Superior Court Judge. For anybody who doesn't know, the divisions are just numbers. I serve the entire county. Part of my assignment is spending 2 days a month out in the Verde Valley at the courthouse out there. My responsibility is all of the mental health courts except Veterans Court. I am also assigned to probation violation cases. I will be taking on the restitution court starting in November. And I filled Division 5 when it was vacated in, I think resignation was sometime in October. I was appointed in December. I started my position in January, and I've been serving the county since then as a Division 5 judge. So as part of that, once you're appointed as a judge in Yavapai County and all rural counties, you are required to run in the next election in order to keep your position. So I am running to finish serving out the Division 5 term, which ends in 2026. And a little bit about me. Sorry. So I'm a mother of three. I'm married to Scott Savage. My husband is a pastor here up in Prescott at a church up here. He's the lead pastor of Prescott Cornerstone Church. I grew up near Buffalo, New York, in a village of about 2,000 people. The daughter of a high school math teacher and a stay-at-home mom. My father spent summers putting roofs on houses and selling shoes at a shoe shop in order to make enough money for us to eat during the summer. So I am very familiar with living and working in a rural place, very rural, if you count the fact that there are 2,000 people. When there's dairy farms, there's more cows than people, where I grew up. So I have spent my entire career in community service. I was a prosecutor before I was appointed. I was a prosecutor in Maricopa County, where I prosecuted domestic violence and child abuse cases, including prosecuting child homicide cases. And then when I moved up here with my family in 2016, I became a prosecutor at the Yavapai County Attorney's Office, where for about 5 years before I was appointed, I prosecuted juvenile cases here in Yavapai County. So I'm very familiar with some of the issues that are happening in the schools and ways that we need to help people. And I really enjoy and really love serving the community in my work as a judge. And making sure that the community is safe, that I am following the law as I am required to do, and make sure that I am upholding the judicial code of conduct as well, which requires that that as a judge, I maintain the integrity and independence of the bench as a third and separate branch of government. So I'm asking for your vote this November. You can take a look at my website, savageforjudge.com, and learn more about me, learn more about where I came from and what I've been doing, and how I want to continue serving the community. Thank you.
And that was Danilyn Savage running for judge of the Superior Court. Now our next group is going to be candidates for HUSD School Board, and there are 5 of them, and this again is in alphabetical order. I'd like to invite up first candidate Marianne Dellinger.
Can everybody hear me? Yeah, okay. Good morning, buenos dias. My name is Marianne Dellinger, and I'm Professor Emerita of Modern Languages and Cultures from the Virginia Military Institute. I've dedicated my whole life to education, with a career that spans 50 years, 4 languages, 3 states, and 2 continents. Before BMI, I was a teacher in the Tucson Unified School District at Pueblo Magnet High School, and I also taught teacher education at the University of Phoenix. I have published 4 textbooks, 3 with major textbook publishing companies, and the last one with Georgetown University Press. The last part of my career I spent as a program reviewer for teacher accreditation programs. I have been attending HUSD school board meetings for the last year, since July of 2023, and I have addressed the board 4 times, mostly about parental rights issues, and I would like to say that the board has always responded satisfactorily to my concerns. We're doing pretty well academically in UHSD on certain things. Certainly our growing career and technical education program, as well as our dual enrollment and early graduation collaborative program with Yavapai College. The Yavapai people are there somewhere. And also our new exploratory courses at the middle schools in the STEM, math and science, and also technology, very important. However, we've got some challenges. So our students are performing at grade level only 33% in math, 41% in English language, and that includes 43 proficiency level in reading. Most concerning of all, though, at least for me, is that almost a quarter of our students are chronically absent. That means that they miss more than 10% of school a year. I'm sure that everybody can agree here that in order to produce our professionals for tomorrow, we have to have students today that are proficient in math, English, and reading and writing, right? And you as employers, I'm gonna guess you want your employees to show up for work, right? So, there are 5 of us running, and I would say that we share some very common traits. And that is, number 1, a huge concern for children. And second, and the desire that HUSD can produce, that offers a world-class education in a safe environment. Our differences are our knowledge of education, beyond just personal school stories, our experience, and our perspective on what are the issues facing the district and what we offer to resolve those issues. My name is Mary Ann Dellinger, Dr. Mary Ann Dellinger. I'm up here today not to talk the talk of education, because I walk the walk, and I've walked it all my life. I hope you will vote for me on November 5th. I have track cards if you want them, thank you, en English y en español, y muchas gracias por también escuchar. Lo siento que no he tenido tiempo para también explicar todo en español. Thank you very much.
And that was Mary Ann Dellinger, candidate for HUSD School Board. The next candidate is Zach Garfield.
Hey folks, I'm also tall. I want to bring this up here and maybe chill down here a little bit. So my name's Zach Garfield, and I am running for one of the 3 board seats in the Humboldt Unified School District. First and foremost, I am a local. I was raised in Prescott and went to, it's cool hearing everybody's stories about where you went to school, because that's part of your identity, right? And so almost every candidate that's come up here has talked about where they come from, where their roots are. My roots are here. If you've been here long enough, you might be familiar with Dexter Elementary. I don't know if anyone knows Dexter. If you've been here long enough, that was where I went to school in elementary school, and I went through high school in Prescott, and then ultimately went to my first 2 years of college at Yavapai College. So this is my community. I ended up going down to the Valley for 10 or 11 years to establish my career, but we came back to raise our children. So my kids have been in the Humboldt Unified School District since they were preschoolers, which there wasn't really a preschool program necessarily, but there was a partnership between the elementary school and a private preschool company. And it was awesome. It was just that nice movement from preschool into elementary school, and my kids flourished. And this district has been everything to our family. My daughter was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when she was in 7th grade, which is already a tough time. And it just so happened to be around COVID time too, so it's kind of a double shot there. And yet she overcame that because of the support of the community, the support of the school systems, and she ended up becoming senior class president. She spoke to 4,000 people. I learned from her how to maybe speak in front of crowds, but 4,000 people at graduation, and delivered some amazing remarks. So that's really who I am. My son plays on the, he's a starter on the varsity football team as a guard, and we're having a pretty good season. We're turning it around right now. Go Bears, right? So yeah, go Bears. And so they work real hard. They have a great program, and it's one of many programs that our school systems have that blow me away. In addition to being in the student council, my daughter was also in the Interact, which is a partnership between the Rotary Club and the school systems. And she was out there, made some amazing partnerships with folks in the community. And so I'm very proud of that. And I personally have been working for my company, or with my company, for 26 years. I'm currently an executive director in charge of risk management for operational risk management at the enterprise level. And with that, I've gone through lots of different evolutions in my career, and have brought a lot of folks with me. I've been a mentor to many, many people along the way. Currently, my role is very focused on governance and policy management, so it kind of works well in a school environment. And so my hopes are to be able to apply my skills, my talents, and my history with this community in the school board. I will say that I'm very focused on protecting our children. I think, we hear so many stories, and there's got to be, continued best practices that we need to implement here. We need to evaluate the security plans that they have in these school systems and make sure that, that there's no penetration into the perimeter, and if there is, then what do we do then, right? So my goal is to really work closely with the facilities director and the operations manager at the school system to understand what that looks like. I also care very much about enriching the children. Again, what are those programs that are available? What kind of role can you all play in helping to define that? With that feedback, what are our community's needs, right? Need that, and then also we need to continue to transform the education system to account for things like AI and the demands and skills needed for the future. So I thank you in advance for your vote, and have a wonderful day.
And that was Zach Garfield. The next candidate for HUSD School Board is Bonnie Maxwell Drake.
Hi, and thank you for inviting us to do this, Marnie and the Prescott Valley Chamber of Commerce. My name is Bonnie Maxwell Drake. I am also a native of Prescott, grew up in Prescott. My mom and I both graduated from Prescott High School. I have raised my children here in Prescott Valley. It's very important to me. I currently still have one that's a junior in high school, and I have two that are, just out of high school and adventuring into finance at One Arizona Bank, and going to Yavapai College and working in the senior industry, learning customer service in the best way possible, in my opinion, because I also work in the senior industry at the Landings of Prescott Valley. That's assisted living and memory care. One of my passions is definitely to give back to seniors and make sure that our life journey isn't forgotten when we're elderly, and people get to know us at the end of our lives. And I think part of my passion for working with students is also to merge those two together and make sure that our youth are working with seniors and learning from seniors, and experiencing what it's like to have that knowledge, right? They learn over their lifetime so many life lessons that are so impactful, and if the youth don't sit around and take the time to get to know them and appreciate them and learn what they've learned, then that knowledge is kind of lost on them, and our generation, or each generation, is kind of at a loss as a whole. So that's part of my background and why I'm running for this position. One, I have children in the system. Two, I have young adults that are going to be our professionals of tomorrow. And three, it's very important to me to look at the whole, the youth and the seniors of our community. So what's important to me, why I'm running for this position, is because, one, I want to make sure that every person that brings something before the board feels like they're validated and they're heard. I want to make sure that there are people from all experiences coming forth to be on the board, and that you don't end up with a whole group of 5 individuals that are basically like-minded, that everybody has a different background, different perspective. So as we vote on policies and procedures and things of this nature, everybody feels like their concerns or their ideas are being validated by the board. I think that's super important. I do love that it's a nonpartisan position, and I do definitely support keeping it a nonpartisan position. I don't think that politics have any business being in the school system. I think that takes away from the children, the teachers, the schools, the momentum of our education system. I do have a learning disability, and growing up, I was behind. I didn't learn how to read until I was in the 4th grade. And a volunteer, Mr. Pottinger, taught me how to read in a closet, basically, in the 4th grade. And from there, the public schools really embraced that I was behind and that I needed to catch up. And they pushed me, and I ended up getting straight A's in 8th grade. And I ended up graduating high school in 3 years with a almost 4.0 GPA. and going on to Yavapai College and getting my associates. So I am a huge supporter of what the public school can do, especially for those that are lacking. And I know that we can be better, and I want to be a part of that. So please vote for me. Thank you. Bonnie Maxwell Drake.
And that was Bonnie Maxwell Drake. And our next candidate is Bruce Sprague.
This looks about right for me, I guess. My name is Bruce Sprague. I'm running for the Humboldt Unified School District School Board along with the other candidates here. We moved here from San Diego area, California, about 10 years ago. Me and my wife have horses and we live out off of Paquito Valley Road. But I've been involved with high school athletics or high school sports for over 30 years. I was a head football coach at a Christian high school in San Diego for 17 years. I did the softball program over there at both schools. And also, when I came over here, I had the opportunity to be the softball coach at Bradshaw High School, Go Bears. And then the last 2 years, I was a Cougar at Chino Valley High School on their softball program. I've been a substitute teacher in the district for the last 10 years, so I've been in the classroom. I've seen what goes on. I think sometimes substitute teachers don't get quite as good at a little more trouble with the kids want to see what you can do. But if you set your priorities and you do the right thing, I think that's very important. My background is I was a road crew superintendent engineer for the county of San Diego for almost 30 years. I owned a commercial trucking company at one time, and the last job we had over the last 10 years, because my wife was younger till she retired, we stayed over there. And I worked in the classified security business. I held a top secret SCI clearance to support a company called the MITRE Corporation out of San Diego, which is connected to General Dynamics. And I was with them for the last 7 or 8 years before I came over here. My education is in business. I have a degree in business management and also a degree in aviation management with a commercial pilot rating with multiple experiences. Like a lot of the other candidates, I think one of my main goals is to keep the kids in school, because we're having a problem with them either dropping out or not going to school, or the absentee rate is very high over here. And the thing I think that keeps the kids in school, again from my athletic experience, is these kids have to have a grades to keep in school over here, and you have to have good citizenship. So a way to keep the kids into the school program is to make sure that you have good sporting activities, band, any kind of extracurricular, band, cheerleading, drama, anything. Another great program that Bradshaw does have, which I'm a big fan of, is Junior ROTC. They have a great program there. They also have the technical training at the college out here where a kid can go. I subbed over at that school, very good school, tremendous opportunity for our kids. So we need more of that kind of stuff. I was at a substitute taught over there a couple of times, and one was for fire science. If one of these students goes through, male or female, goes through their program and they graduate, they get a certificate in fire science, and they can go to a fire department and be right on the top of the list to be firemen. And they also have auto body repair. They have actually even have a aviation program. They have gunsmithing. That's help. A lot of stuff comes from the Ruger Gun Company, and it's just a tremendous program. So we need those kind of opportunities for our students, and that's what I'm really pushing. That's my main goal. My platform is a clear and concise rules for everyone, a strict, dependable code of ethics, and students, teachers, and administrators make more after-school activities and programs. I also would like, and then the enrichment programs. What this does for these kids that go through these programs, it makes them, they need new knowledge, critical thinking, and career exploitation, and that, I think, they're taught in these extracurricular activities, particularly at the schools. And what we need to get, look, thank you, and hope you would vote for me. My name is Bruce Sprague. Thank you again.
And yes, that was Bruce Sprague. And our final candidate for HUSD School Board is Sue Unverricht.
Thank you. My name is Sue Unverricht, and I'm a candidate for the Humboldt Unified School District Board, which includes Prescott Valley and Dewey Humboldt. I'm a retired CPA, and most of my career was spent serving owner-managed businesses like yours. Working as a CPA was a great career, but my true passion is for the next generation. I volunteered for children and families since moving here in 2011. I see Damon. I served on the Prescott YMCA Finance Committee. I've been a substitute teacher. I've worked at the Community Pregnancy Center and as a CASA for kids in foster care. I've been attending school board meetings for about a year, and I have learned that we have not yet achieved our pre-COVID enrollment numbers. This tells me that we need to build trust in our schools. We have to focus on student achievement by emphasizing traditional academics, building bridges with the parents, and simplifying our teachers' scope. Teachers are not counselors, nor are they bookkeepers. Their time must be used in the classroom teaching those traditional academics. We need to avoid distractions from our core mission. Matters of religion, morality, and sexuality are reserved to the family by Arizona law. As a retired CPA, I will provide oversight that our tax dollars are well used. We currently spend over $11,000 per student. I want to see that we make the most of our resources to improve our students' academic achievement and to provide educational opportunities so that our next generation can succeed in whatever path they follow. I'm passionate about strong public schools. My own children were educated in our neighborhood public school. High-performing public schools provide great value to students, families, and us all. And since I have a couple of minutes left, or some time left, it seems, I would just like to share that I have really enjoyed, I'm a bit more of an introvert, but I have really enjoyed the campaigning process, listening to so many people and their comments about our schools and education. Sometimes people, it's actually sadly not that infrequent when I hear that people say, I don't have children in the public schools, or, you know, my kids are raised. So me personally, I was from I guess I call it a disorganized family. My parents did their best, but they would never have been the type that was like, oh, I'm going to research and find the best school for my child. They just sent me to the neighborhood public school where the bus came to pick me up and was like, get out there. And I loved school. I loved my school. I loved my teachers when I was in elementary school especially. I cried when school was over, and I received skills that were necessary to allow me to make choices in my life through my neighborhood public school. So I'm very passionate about making our neighborhood public schools the first choice of our parents and in our community. High-performing public schools, again, provide great value to our students, families, and us all. I was super encouraged by the comment about the Baghdad schools, that they were able to make a significant change in a couple of years. And I'm an optimistic person. I believe that we can look closely at what's going on. We can work together as a team, and we can make those changes so that our schools are just HUSD schools are the shining beacon in Yavapai County. So please vote for me, Sue Unverricht, for the HUSD School Governing Board. Thank you.
And that was Sue Unverricht with the, again, the final candidate running for HUSD School Board. So I give people tons of credit for running for office. It's really sticking your neck out there for your community. Let's give them a round of applause. And now, again, it's not the only, candidates are not the only thing on the ballot. There's quite a bit else on the ballot. So to give you some idea of what's going on, I'd like to invite up Tyler Goodman, Assistant County Manager for Yavapai County, going to discuss Prop 479.
I'm also tall. Good morning, everybody. My name is Tyler Goodman, Assistant County Manager. Happy to be here this morning to discuss an important proposition that the county has put to the voters to discuss, which is Prop 479, which deals with the county's expenditure limitation. Next slide, please. So diving right into it, what is the expenditure limitation? Simply put, it's the maximum amount of money that Yavapai County can spend each year. The limit increases every year based on a couple of factors, population and inflation, and it's done by a state group called the Arizona Economic Estimates Commission. And the county's current base expenditure limit was established in 1980. This is when this expenditure limitation process began in the state of Arizona. And since then, and for all subsequent years, the county's base expenditure limit was just over $11 million, again, with those factors increasing over time. But that kind of sets the table for what we're talking about. Next slide. A couple of common questions that we get. When was the last time the county asked voters to increase the base expenditure limitation? The answer is never. The county has never faced the challenge of bumping into that expenditure limitation, which I'll touch on in another slide. And then, of course, the biggest question of all, will this proposition raise my taxes? Simply put, no, it will not raise taxes. It won't raise property taxes or any other county taxes. In fact, Yavapai County taxes have slowly been decreasing over the last decade. And you can see that in the slide. So why is the county asking to adjust the expenditure limitation if this hasn't been a problem before? Well, simply put, the county currently collects monies from the federal level, from the state level, through state shared revenues, and of course through local county taxes and fees. And combined, those collectively are more than the current expenditure limitation. So many of these revenues have been growing faster than the rate of the expenditure limitation. Just for example, one of those pieces is state collected sales taxes that are shared with the county. Over about 8 fiscal years from 2015 to 2023, those revenues grew 93%. That came to the county. But the county's base expenditure limitation only increased, the expenditure limitation only increased 32.5%. So you can see that's just an example of how revenues are outpacing expenditures. Next slide. And this is shown graphically here. You can see it's pretty, a marked difference there between the state shared revenues in the green on top and the county expenditure limit in the red on the bottom. Also, I wanted to touch on the fact that county services, as you can imagine, have changed quite a bit since 1980. Things like the website, software, IT infrastructure, public safety equipment, search and rescue, all of these things that have come about, even state-mandated services that counties have to provide, which have vastly changed over 44 years, that was not taken into account in the expenditure limitation. So what the county is seeing is even though we have, let's say there's money in the bank, it's money that can't be spent. It's not raising taxes, it's current revenues that can't be put to good use, okay, if that makes sense. So how will this, if the proposition is approved, how will it change the county's base expenditure limitation? The question on the ballot is to raise it by 7.9 million, okay, which would then take into account all of those growth factors into the year, and that economics commission would then formulate the new expenditure limitation for the county. And what are some of the outcomes? Well, of course, improved public services. These funds that currently can't be spent cover a wide variety of things that the county does. Public safety, healthcare, infrastructure, education. And just for example, this current fiscal year, the county had to hold back and not budget or spend $7 million worth of road maintenance projects just to not hit that expenditure limitation or exceed it. So again, it's not being able to put current revenues to good use for our county. And I know I'm out of time, but I'm happy to stick around afterwards and answer any questions that you have. Thank you for listening this morning. Appreciate it.
And again, that was Tyler Goodman, Assistant County and Yavapai County Manager, regarding Prop 479 on your ballot. Next, I'd like to invite up Marcus Del Artino for Strategic Communications and Public Affairs.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me, Marnie. Thank you for getting me out of the valley and also avoiding child duty this morning. That was the best part, by the way. I am not a candidate for office, so I'm going to say some very outrageous things. That's not true. I'm just going to quickly, as fast as possible, go through some ballot initiatives, not all of them. And if you have questions afterwards, I'll stick around and maybe steal a piece of bacon and answer anybody's question on any ballot issue. Number one, I want you to pay very close attention this year. It is a long ballot. And I want you to keep in mind that everything that you vote on, if it passes, sticks like glue. There is virtually no way to get rid of it other than going back to the ballot to have the voters repeal it. So I don't want you to think necessarily about just this year and the immediate impacts. I want you to think about what the impacts are 10 years from now. Because the legislature, by most accounts, won't be able to make adaptations to whatever the voters approve, okay? So first is Prop 134. This is initiative, referendum, signatures, legislative districts. You guys are probably all familiar now with how things get on the ballot from the people. The legislature obviously can refer things, but you've seen petition gathering signatures at your grocery store. That's where I get attacked and have been for the last 3 months. And so largely they hunt the ducks where the ducks are, is what we like to say. The petition gatherers are focused in Phoenix and Tucson, maybe Flagstaff, and I'm sure you've seen some here around here. But that's where the majority of those signatures get gathered. This ballot measure says that you need to get a percentage from every legislative district in the state. Remember, there's 30 legislative districts, right? You're in District 1. And that's a geographic area within the state. There's 30 of those geographic areas throughout the state. You need to collect a certain amount of signatures from all 30 to get on the ballot. Why would somebody propose that? Well, the legislature believes, and I think that there's some evidence to support this, that there's been an influx of union activity out of California. And we've seen a lot of money being spent by those organizations in Arizona, especially on minimum wage issues, and it's at the city level, the county level, and the state level. And so they're looking to put some parameters in place to make it a little bit harder to put some of those things on the ballot. Okay, 138, tipped workers' wages. I'm going to read this one because it sounds complicated, but then I'm going to break it down really fast for you. Current law provides that employers may pay tipped employees up to $3 per hour less than minimum wage if the employer with the tipped wages was paid at least minimum wage for all hours worked. What the proposition would allow them to pay up to 25% per hour less than minimum wage if they can prove that the minimum wage plus $2 per hour for all hours worked. Here's what's really going on here, folks. This again goes back to the unions. And the Restaurant Association has been sort of under attack in all the city initiatives that have been running to increase minimum wage, the state measures to increase minimum wage. There was supposed to be one on the ballot this year. They didn't qualify. And so what the Restaurant Association is hoping to do is trying to put an end to having to have these battles nonstop on employment law, especially about minimum wage. And you'll remember, if you put it in the Constitution, as I just told you, it's very difficult to change. So it wouldn't be impossible, but it would be a lot harder for the unions to run some of these minimum wage and employment measures throughout the state of Arizona. Prop 312, property tax refund nuisance enforcement. So this was a product, I'm sure you guys have probably read about this. In Phoenix, we had something called the Zone, and it was probably about 4 to 8 square blocks of the most miserable conditions you've ever seen in your life, with some of the most horrific stories I can tell you about homelessness and what was going on there. Well, that adversely affected some property owners, as you could imagine, who had been there for years, had owned small businesses, a sub shop in particular that I like to visit, and they literally could not do business because of the activities that were happening. And so the legislature is putting this forth to the ballot, and it says once a year, if your property was affected by a nuisance that should have been controlled by that local government, then you can file for a property tax abatement. Give you an example, my wife and I happen to own her office building. She came to work the other day and found her alley was on fire, and her fence was burning. And so under that condition, we could file for property tax abatement to pay for the expensive brick wall fence I had to build. Okay, and this is my last one, and this is a big one you probably heard all about, but it's Prop 314, Border Benefits Fentanyl Illegal Entry. So this is doing a few things. One is we're upping the penalties on fentanyl traffickers. Two, we're making it so that a state law enforcement officer can arrest somebody if they have probable cause for not coming in a lawful port of entry. And then third was benefits, sorry. We're going to implement sort of an E-Verify system. Most of you are probably familiar with E-Verify and probably use it in your business. We implement that system for people to get state and local benefits. I will tell you that the complicating factor about this is that it will not go into effect even if you pass it, which, by the way, I expect it to pass in the 60s. Right now is where the polling is. It doesn't go into effect unless the United States Supreme Court approves Texas's SB4 or a similar measure. And so what I just caution folks about is that if you vote this and it passes, don't expect it to go into effect the next day, because we're going to have to wait and see what the Supreme Court does with either the Texas initiative, or I think Iowa has one and a couple other states have similar measures. Opponents of the measure will say, this is going to have an effect on tourism. We don't have the money to pay for the jailing of these folks, and it's a 1070 measure. And proponents will say, it's not a 1070 measure. You have to have probable cause. You literally have, there's, most likely two scenarios here. One is the officer visually sees somebody coming through the port, or not the port, the illegal entry, or there's video of that happening, and which is a different sort of stop and frisk policy that we had under 1070. But that's your pluses and your minus for that one. How did I do on time? 314. And I will stick around if you got questions on it's a long ballot, and I'm getting a lot of questions, and I'm happy to answer all of them. Thank you.
And again, that was Marcus Dellartino with First Strategic Communications. Really appreciate him coming and giving us an idea of what is on the ballot. And as he just mentioned, it is a very long ballot, and we all received these nice little thick packets. And so we have homework to do, all of us. And I just really encourage everybody and myself to hunker down and really think through some of our votes and get that done. But again, I want to thank you all for coming today. We have a couple of thank yous here. I want to thank the chamber staff and the ambassadors for all the effort they put into this. And want to thank the Backburner staff, the Warehouse Event Center staff. They provided the facility and the food. Thank you very much. And of course, Mark Stone with PVTV. And yeah, Mark, thank you, Mark. Mark, thank you. Heidi Doms for our photography. And of course, the Prescott Valley Chamber of Commerce. Yay. Oh, thank you. It's truly my pleasure, folks. And I hope you all have an excellent and prosperous day. Thank you.